Hey, everybody. Super excited for this chat today with Island.io, the enterprise browser company. This is a category I am fascinated by, and we're going to learn a lot about. Michael, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for having me today.
Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate your time. Before we dive into you and the origin story of Island, let's play this quick video I found that really informative and maybe sets the scene for our discussion. Let's have a look.
Browser? What's that got to do with security?
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
Why would we want to pay for a browser?
Oh my gosh, this changes everything.
It was probably the most exciting product I've ever heard about in my life.
I was blown away.
Stunned.
It was one of those wow moments for me.
It's going to change the industry.
If you think about having visibility across anything to do with the internet, and you're able to collect data, apply controls, so that I now can write detections against all of that, I've never been able to do that before.
With Island, with the enterprise browser capability, of course, why wouldn't we take all of our traditional controls, traditional technologies, virtualize that, and embed it into the browser session itself?
It's a Chromium-based browser, but it gives the infrastructure team and the security team the ability to control and track what people see and do.
Installation super easy. It's just a basic browser.
The level of control, visibility that you get in an instant.
Isolating what's happening within the browser, obfuscating data, preventing screen captures.
We have anti-phishing control, web filtering, data loss prevention, sandbox downloads.
For identities, for privacy, for audit, for all these components.
I was really amazed. I actually thought it was strange that nobody did it before.
It really is a game changer and, helps drive our business forward.
It's changed so many things in so many dramatic ways.
It's the first security tool that we've ever implemented that the end users actually really enjoy.
We can do things that we didn't used to think we could do.
The enterprise browser is both inevitable and invaluable. I mean, it's ridiculous when you think about it. Like, where have we been all these years?
Absolutely, the enterprise browser is going to disrupt a lot of other solutions. Period.
Well, that is quite a mic drop kind of video. I guess you can go now, and we'll just say goodbye. But really, great way to start the discussion. What was the inspiration between Island and what led you to create an enterprise browser?
You know, well, first, think about how the browser showed up, right? It showed up as a static HTML viewer, as part of our operating system, just another app that found its way in there. And then over time, it's become a core operating system. But it's still this consumer-centric approach, which is amazing for 5 billion consumers doing amazing stuff. What my co-founder saw was that when the standardization of the open source project of Chromium occurred, that we might be able to re-envision how it worked in cybersecurity. And he brought that to me, and we debated it. And I went to who's now our chief strategy officer, Brian Kenyon. And we kicked it around a little bit. And we realized, wait, it was even bigger than that, that we could build a solution that helped with security, the business, and made end users' lives better. And once we realized that, we were really talking about the future of work. We were talking about the future, how things could be. And that's what ended up being the founding of Island as we now know it, is that vision of better security, enabling the business to deliver better productivity to the end user. Those three pillars became the basis upon which all of our R&D and all of our efforts have spun off.
Brilliant. And your tagline is "work as it should be," which is fun. What does that mean for the user experience? What is it like using Island?
Yeah. Well, we like to think that it's seamless, that it's frictionless. When you think about it today, let's take a random worker, a call center worker. You get this job, you work in the Philippines, you want to do that. Well, the company that hired you is nervous. They don't know your company. They're not aware of your devices. So what do? They ship you a device. Okay, we wait a month for that to show up. Then on that device, there's going to be VPNs and MDMs and all of these things. And just to make sure our data can't get away, we're going to put it in VDI. We'll put a Citrix session or something like that. And then that Citrix session is going to backhaul every click you do to a server somewhere. That's going to backhaul all that web traffic to an infrastructure review with, some proxy in the sky, then run through a DLP system, then finally get back to the Salesforce tenant that might have been right outside your front door, opposed to just browser to the SaaS app, to the web app, enabled that way. And then we think, as it should be, we think about how excited you get the first time your credit card gets auto-filled in. Like, wow, I didn't have to go find that. Well, we have people that spend their days doing repetitive work where we could have all that automated. We could have those things filled in. We have people that spend all day trying to figure out what the performance experience is, what we do, how we enable. All that stuff can come from that. So when we say work as it should be, it's just the simplest mode of operation to deliver high security and productivity. The design we ended up with is one that's occurred over 2 decades of whack-a-mole and speed bumps and all these things, which no one agreed is how things should be. It was how it had to be. And now we're thinking, how should it be? And let's tweak the environment so we support the should, not the have to.
Brilliant approach. And so talk about how control of the browser behavior works. When you have something like Google Chrome, I mean, it's secure, but what else on top of that are you adding?
Yeah, so think about this browser now as an enterprise portal. You use your device for whatever the heck you want to use it for, but now it's time to go to work. And you click on your company's browser. And when you do that, a policy downloads to that browser, and that policy governs everything that happens in that browser. But it also enables everything that happens in that browser. So now I see all my entitlements. Everything I need to go to work is sitting on that home screen. When I double click on something, if it needs to open up a network connection, some private encrypted network connection, it just does it. I don't have to. If that is data I'm about to access is so important that my device needs to be secure, it secures the device. It confirms the device is safe. And if that data is so important that I shouldn't print it or I shouldn't save it off, it'll guide me to where I can save it safely, how I print it safely. And so everything about that last mile, copy, paste, upload, download, screenshots, redaction, automation, even watermarking, step up auth, everything that happens in that environment can now be tweaked and refined to the positive outcome of that company and that individual.
Brilliant approach. So it's been an interesting period as we've gone from remote work to hybrid work, and this balance of working from home and in the office has been kind of a nightmare for CISOs and CIOs, although they managed to pull it off. What is the balance? I imagine that's a big selling point is, the browser on your machine, or it could be a company machine. It's at home or the workplace or out on traveling. It's fundamentally the same secure platform. Is that my understanding?
Yeah. So when we tackled the BYOD or third party problem first, right, which is this Uber problem. I don't own the device. I don't trust the device, but these are people accessing something important. How do we set that up? And so by targeting that, we got the superset problem. Now, when you bring that same device or same approach into a managed environment, it's even simpler. It's even easier because we can trust it more. The core point about it, though, is it's the minimum requirement to give the maximum outcome. Another way of thinking it, most our designs in IT today are for the lowest common denominator. Because I access a small critical amount of information, I have to have all these controls. Because I have some old legacy app, I have to deliver everything via VDI. It's not the case. We can do it in a portal approach where the best answer gets applied to the situation. So if I'm accessing Salesforce, great, have a great web relationship with that. Have it in the fastest browser possible, everything available to you, except those things that break our policy. Now you need to bring up an old legacy app. Great. An IE 7 through 11 mode will occur, or we'll stream the FAT app into that environment. But we build it for the future and enable the past, not have the past enabling the future. It's a different approach, and it creates a substantially different return on investment and simplification to our customers. And the most important thing, a better end user experience.
That's fantastic. So you've created quite a category here, lots of excitement. Others have jumped in
Yep.
to this market. So there'll be a few enterprise browsers, perhaps. What sets you apart from the other contenders out there?
Well, we were fortunate, we did define the category. We started first. We're the largest by a pretty good stretch. So we have the most R&D to apply to it. But I think what really separated us, and now the market's starting to try to figure this out, was we never got an enterprise browser confused with a secure browser. We never just wholly focused on what if we could block a couple given malware examples. It's not that we didn't enable that or get that tech, but we knew that was not going to be the answer. That was just an enabler. You can't change the way an end user does their job. You can't impact an end user just for a little added cybersecurity. You have to have better impact. You have to help the business. You have to help them. And that commitment to the business and to the end user is what's given us, a much bigger runway and a much bigger set of clientele to build this platform. And now it starts to be a bit of a runaway train because we have these giant companies on it. We're talking Fortune 10 type companies, the Fortune 100, Fortune 5,000. Because they're on it, they're teaching us what else we need to do to make it great. What else can we add on so that they can get off their password manager, so they can get off their digital experience, so they can get their auditing under control. And so every day, our best features are now coming from some of the brightest minds in IT. And we just happen to be funded well enough that when those ideas come up, we turn them around in weeks, not months, not quarterly. Within a week or two, we take most of those bright ideas and we get them back in the hands of our customers while they're still passionate and they're still ready to test and validate that design. And that's becoming a flywheel for us. It's very, very powerful.
Powerful indeed. Yeah, it was delightful seeing those customer stories. They were so happy.
Yeah.
And I think when I was working in the enterprise world, in the office, I would have loved this. The old key fob. I don't know what that thing was. I had to enter it every 10 minutes. I had to put a new code in. But you must have overcome some real challenges to get this out there, business wise, tech wise. What was that like? How did you overcome those?
Well, when you turn to somebody 3 years ago and you say, I want to create a browser. Let's just say the world wasn't lining up to say, great idea, Mike, right? Now, I will say people got it quick, but the customers, even the ones that leaned in on that video that are in love with us now, they all had their moment of, can I really do this? Can I really go to my organization and change browsers or change how this works? And figuring out how we could do that crawl, walk, run was a big accomplishment. So our implementations don't start with browser displacements. We just start popping up like a collaboration window for specific outcomes. That gave people the ability to try it, to get value, to get ROI, but not have to have a big change experience, and then grow and get more comfortable and into that. Figuring out how to do that well so we could support the life cycle of the customer, the journey of the customer, was a very big point of achievement when we finally got that right. That helps us get through those early days of, wow, we're really going to do this. And that was a big one. And obviously getting funding at this point, over $250 million in funding.
Wow.
Never easy. But we spent a very small portion of that, luckily. So we've got, years and years of runway, but most importantly, we have years and years of ability to respond to our customers as fast as humanly possible. And that's the most exciting thing in that. So those are two big things we had to get over. This wasn't a project that was going to be funded with a $40 or $50 million investment. And it was definitely one we had to get the world to understand was even possible.
Brilliant. So you're at a point now where you're driven by a lot of your customers in terms of features and functionality. But what's on the horizon? What gets you excited? Is it on the roadmap? Things like mobile, for example. You mentioned contact center. Are there other niches, verticals, industries where you can get a lot of traction? I'm thinking healthcare, for example, or government.
So we have gone big on a couple different verticals now. Mm-hmm. Those verticals, like you said, are bringing us all sorts of interesting ideas. Healthcare is a great example. How we support the arm's length doctor, the affiliate doctor, You
Mm,
know, all of healthcare is made up of contractors, right? These hospitals, you know, have to create an environment where they can get the best and brightest, but they may not be on staff. They may not be directly related.
mm.
So finding how do we do that in a high trust environment? How do we do that in, you know, an environment that supports the medical practitioner? Those are interesting developments that are now being spun by those customers as they teach us. You know, the first use case they bought, sure, we delivered on that, but the growth inside of that environment that we and our customers want are driven by that verticalization acknowledgement. We're seeing the same thing in financial, same thing in retailers. We're becoming point of sale devices. You know, all of that stuff evolving. It's, you know, we have to appreciate we're not the experts. We're the experts in enterprise
Mm.
browsers. They're the experts in running that business, and we keep learning and grabbing from that. So what you're starting to see are a lot of modules come out of us. We produced a password module. So literally for password managers, so they don't have to do that. We produced a digital experience module so that the end user experience on that iPhone, on that tablet, on that PC or Mac, they can get that full experience across every device. Then it was AI management, how to enable and protect that AI experience in a way that makes AI viable, but also secure. And so these modules are growing out a network module. We got an anomaly module, and then we're putting it across every form factor from Chromebooks to iOS. And
Oh,
so
wow.
keeping all of that going is a fairly big tech investment. And just to make sure we don't get bored, we now offer it as an agent. We offer it as a browser. We offer it as a portal. And so really trying to make sure that the customer has whatever configuration they need to embrace this new paradigm.
That's fantastic. And imagine the big tech companies, the big enterprise tech companies out there are watching you with interest. I'll leave it at that. Are they partners? Are
Yes.
they competitors? How do you see you working yourself with those big 7 or 8 giants?
What I will tell you is the giants have been amazing. They have
Mm,
partnered. They understand if you really think about what we're doing, they still make the same money they used to. Their initiatives are pushed forward by the adoption of this, not held back.
all right.
And I think that's been the difference, whether it's the large cybersecurity companies we partnered with or the large traditional IT companies. At this point, there's almost 50 plus different integrations across that. Some of them have invested in us. I mean, we've really found the opportunity of a clean lane where we can innovate without disrupting, you know, kind of those juggernauts. And we can make their solutions better. And our customers appreciate that. You know, they do want an ROI. They do want to displace a bunch of needless tech, but they're not looking to just throw everything out for the sake of doing it. They want to see us leverage what works and remove what doesn't. And so we took a very open approach because of that, where we will integrate with everything. We'll share the data. We'll share control. We're not going to differentiate on housing your data and, you know, putting a wrapper around it. We're going to differentiate by enabling that end user great experience and building cybersecurity inside of that for the business. So we do that. Everything else is open to whatever is best for our customer, and we're very committed to that.
Oh, great approach. Um, you have a big team in Israel, headquartered here in the US. I've worked for a couple Israeli tech companies. It's quite a wild ride. I mean, Israel is the security capital of the world now. So that must be fun and pretty dynamic. And you must have some interesting talent
I love it.
inside.
You know, I've had a lot of engineering orgs, and there's a lot of great engineers that have worked with me over the
Mhm.
years, but something magical happens when you take that creative, brilliant discipline of being a developer
Mm.
and you put it through military training. So they learn to be a team. They learn to press each other forward. You know, I always give this example. I've run companies in the past where my best engineer is off in the corner, headphones on, working odd hours, making amazing things happen. My best engineers here have a team of people around them, asking them questions, getting their
Mm.
help. They feel like to be the best, they have to enable people, not just pound out the code. And so you can create this elevated environment where every time we find a master developer, they create more master developers.
Wow.
And that's a unique culture. And I'm not saying that's the only place in the world that does it, but I see it in spades at what Dan's built in Israel with the team there. And Dan being my co-founder.
Wow. Squad goals, as the kids say, literally. That's a phenomenal approach. we're in September. It's hard to believe. What are you excited about over the next few weeks, month or so? I'm sure you're on the road a lot. Any events or trips that worth mentioning?
Well, we've got a couple different customers that are starting to go live in the hundreds of thousands of browsers.
Wow.
As you know, over 2 million browsers out there now. That's really exciting for us. So that's got a lot of my attention. I'm very fortunate that our business model really says we should take care of our customers. Everybody says they want to, but does your business model support it? Because of our ability to expand and grow inside the same account, everything we do is about the existing customer success. And so my next couple of weeks are really focused on being with those customers that have made large investments with us. You make a multi-million-dollar investment and you get it rolled out in the first couple months of owning it, you've got something you're going to brag about in the industry. And we want to enable that. We want to set these people up for wild success. So that's a big part of it. And then we're in our Q3. So, you know, it's the race to the end of the year and then set the new goals for the next one.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for sharing your time and insights. I learned a lot about this fascinating new category. And folks, yeah, thanks for watching. Reach out to island.io, and I'm sure they'll answer any questions you might have. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike.